Global IME Bank, Sabai ka lagi bank.
2.5 very fulfilling years when I got to travel across Nepal. The bug, the affection for our own country, I think, is what brought me back almost 20 years later to serve permanently in public life here. I then went to pursue graduate studies, and soon after that I joined UNDP again at the regional level. So I was stationed in Vietnam but covered much of the continent, and this is where I also got to see UNDP's appetite for new ventures, new risks, trading into new areas, not being confined to a comfort zone. So the area, or rather technical area, of international trade policy was what was initiated in 2001 after the debacle. The WTO conference in Seattle collapsed. UNDP felt this is not a technical subject that should be left to the preserve of the Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Trade. This affects livelihoods, this affects all the citizens. Trade policies, arcane as they may be, impact all lives, and UNDP should be in this area. So I got to fashion a very new program helping WTO negotiations, but also doing the economic analysis of all the impacts of trade agreements. And as many of you remember, in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks in the United States, the Doha development round took off, and there was unprecedented unanimity across the global community in rallying behind trade and development as a major theme for organizing development assistance during that decade. Unfortunately, that has petered out. That is no longer the case, as a lot of development assistance and even national priorities have now fragmented, almost balkanized, and that cohesive whole, that global ethos has very much vanished, and we need to reclaim that going forward. I then worked for the World Bank, did my PhD, and again I came back to UNDP for a very special assignment to co-author the 2012 Global Human Development Report. It was on the rise of the South. So again, UNDP was ahead of the times. Before the prominence of countries like China, India, Brazil, Indonesia, South Africa, the large developing countries, they made a breakthrough in the global arena of global policy making way before G20 was formed, I think, or around the same time in the aftermath of the global financial crisis. We were able to document this rise of developing countries and also project and predict how this will reshape the world order. And right now we see that clearly, with China, India in particular, leading much of that landscape in concert with the established powers. And during the COVID years, I was fortunate enough to have been invited by Ms. Kanni Wignaraja to work with her directly as the Chief Economic Advisor for the entire region. And again, very fulfilling years, very satisfying efforts and interventions at a very difficult time globally, not just in Nepal. And then, the reversal of human development gains, the technological breakthroughs that we could leverage for the delivery of vaccines, for example. So all this, I'm giving you an example of many areas, often unconventionally tied to development efforts on the part of the United Nations, because you feel that there's a charter, there's a very rigid organization, rigid bureaucracy, and you would expect that the UN would not be agile, UN would not be very flexible, risk-taking and all that. But just the contrary in all the experiences that I myself had had. So I can speak with authority on how valuable the partnership with UNDP has been, not just in Nepal, but across the developing world. Now here in Nepal, we saw the lovely video from the airstrips that UNDP helped build, design, do all these pre-feasibility studies. I remember actually many of the major infrastructure projects would ultimately funded by the MDBs, but there was a time when UNDP did the pre-feasibility studies and technical assistance during the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And in the 90s, it shifted gears. And I remember when we worked at UNDP almost 30 years ago, in the aftermath of the democratic restoration in this country, all these models of participatory development, community mobilization, they were all very new. And I think Nepal proved that this is a very successful model. And this ended up being emulated in different parts of the world, from Kyrgyzstan to Afghanistan. And guess who managed all those UNDP projects in other countries? It was the Nepali alumni who had learned the tricks of the trade right here in Nepal. So it was very satisfying for me as I pursued my own international career to meet Nepali friends and professionals who were taking the Nepali example. I still remember the acronyms from that time, right? Lalitaji, PDDP, REDP, Pakistan People, PPP, all these famous programs from the 90s. Now, again, very sad to note that a lot of those efforts were derailed because we went into this phase of active armed conflict and then the post-transition. But thanks to UNDP again, you stepped into a new role of democratic consolidation, peace process, constitution writing, and all that, right? So this ability to evolve with the needs of the host country or the partners, I think also is a testament of the trusted, the valued, and very much a credentialed, celebrated partnership that UNDP continues to enjoy in countries like ours and the rest of the developing world. And looking to the future, I think this very trait will come handy. My own sense is that the nature of the development challenges obviously has changed, is changing fast with digitalization, demography, millions of people on the move, with the diaspora emerging as a potent force for development, which was not the case just 20, 25 years ago. And I often use the 3 Ds, right? Digitalization, demography, and diaspora. This is what catapulted the Rashtriya Swatantra Party to power. This is what I had predicted 2 years ago, and this continues to be a dominant theme as we navigate some of the persistent development challenges. Now, poverty reduction used to be a very, very dominant theme in the 90s and the 2000s, and that's something to celebrate in Nepal's case, with state help, with the help of the international partners, but largely through remittances. In 1995, according to a World Bank study, $2.18 being used as an international poverty line. We had 55% of the people below that line. Now it's less than 1%. It's almost eliminated. But we do this well in the development community. When a problem is fixed, we change the bar, right? So now the poverty line is, middle class and $3.80 and, even a higher benchmark. So there's still people's livelihoods to be taken care of, exploration of decent jobs, viable sources of economic growth, equity in education, health, and other social opportunities powered by a broad-based inclusive growth process. All that continues to be relevant, and we look to UNDP to also reimagine its priorities and adjust to the new development landscape. So in terms of the nature of the problems, I feel that the global public goods or regional public goods is an area where UNDP can add a lot of value. In terms of funding, UNDP was always the largest multilateral grant-making organization. That was a very fancy way of saying that we don't have much money, but it continues to be very valuable, as we've seen in Nepal, seeding those critical investments and let somebody else come and scale that up. And I think that itself is immensely valuable. as we've known from our own experiences in development, money is not the most important issue in development. It is modes of collaboration. It is the power of convocation that UNDP enjoys, that the UN as a whole enjoys, and these cross-border issues that only institutions like UN and the UNDP that enjoy broad acceptance and legitimacy on the part of all member states of the UN. That's unique. No other international agency can command that kind of a power of convocation. So to solve regional and global challenges, public goods, under delivery of those global public goods, UNDP continues to be well positioned, and I'm glad to see your engagement in climate issues, democratic consolidation, youth empowerment, and digitalization, which is again a cross-border theme, but very much rooted in the national needs. So I would end with my endorsement of the approach that UNDP is taking, trying to adjust to the new challenges and new needs. So the 3 C's, the power of convocation, build on that. I think nobody can come close to that unique legitimacy that you enjoy. Focus even more strongly on the cross-border regional and global public goods, and sharpen your modes of collaboration, which you already continue to do. And I was happy to note, Kyoko was telling me that a lot of mayors are in town, have joined this event, which is again a special mode of collaboration that only an entity like the UN can pull off. And I would urge you to really expedite your march in this direction. So it's been 60 glorious years of partnership that has been trusted, that has been valued, and that has been celebrated here in Nepal. And when you celebrate your 100th year of partnership, I hope I'll still be alive. I'll just be 92 at the time, and I'll be able to join you then. So congratulations. This is a wonderful milestone that UNDP has reached, and the people and the government of Nepal are with you, and as you are with us, and together this journey continues in a fresh new direction.